And until the world can develop a reliable system of international security, the free people have no choice but to keep their arms near.
Hi, I'm Steve Russell, Congressman from Oklahoma's 5th Congressional District. I wanted to talk a little bit today about a couple of very important things to our national security and oversight of government. In 1814, we established the oversight structure that we now have in Congress so that as we, the people, elect and make our government, that government draws its power from the consent of the people, and the people deserve oversight of that government. But lately what's happened is that we have seen rules played one against the other. We've seen arguments over classification of information. We've seen records under the Freedom of Information Act being held because of privacy concerns from Congress, where the rules don't even apply.
Will the FBI provide to Congress the full file with no redactions of personal identifiable information?
I cannot make that commitment sitting here today.
Case in point, you take the recent investigations into Mrs. Clinton's emails. People are saying, oh, it's nothing but a gimmick. It's nothing but, a political grand theater. She did nothing wrong.
Nothing I sent was marked classified or that I received was marked classified.
I went down to the vault where we keep our classified and top secret information. Part of the FBI testimony that Director Comey gave to the Oversight and Government Reform Committee was the fact that there were top secret special access program information, 81 chains of emails that contained sensitive classified information. And so we wanted to go down and take a look at it. I looked at what they call 302s, which are the exit interviews from investigations that the Bureau does. Now, these can't be released to the public because of the sensitive information in them, which is part of the problem. When you have an issue where you're trying to get oversight and investigation and you try to bring out these issues, typically what happens is, even if we find something, we may not be able to share it. I will say this, if the American public saw what I saw when I read the exit interviews that Mrs. Clinton had with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, they would be absolutely appalled. There is no doubt in my mind, after looking at these 302s, that there was obvious attempt to cover up mishandling of classified information. There is no question. Any average American with any sense of intelligence at all would be able to read those 302s, redacted or not, and come to a conclusion that there was obviously activity going on where they were trying to cover up something.
When it comes to her email controversy, Hillary Clinton has often tried to use former Secretary of State Colin Powell as essentially an alibi. Her basic argument, he did it too.
And then we see the reputation of Secretary Colin Powell, an honorable man. I wore the uniform when General Powell was also in uniform, had great admiration and respect for him. And now they're trying to say, well, nothing happened that other secretaries of state has not done. That is simply false. Having an AOL email account is not the same as having your own private server with classified information on it. General Powell understood how to handle classified information, and he certainly didn't hide it on a private server. One of the most discouraging things that we've seen of late is the National Defense Authorization. Our warriors that are fighting in places like Syria, Iraq, against ISIS, they're fighting in operations in Libya, they're fighting in operations ongoing, working with our partners in Afghanistan. These are contingencies that must be funded. And
well, first thing, we are not going to compromise on Homeland Defense. We know that. And at sequester cuts, we probably wouldn't have to. But you start digging into the other pieces, it would probably affect counterterrorism operations a bit, and it would certainly affect our ability to do deterrent presence across the world.
Let me tell you why the theory of OCO is a good one. The theory of OCO is Overseas Contingency Operations Funding, so-called wartime funding. But it is funding that is intended to cover the variable costs of operations that go up and down in the course of a year.
Overseas contingency dollars are not gimmicks, and yet we have a memo that you can find on our website, russell.house.gov, and you can go to our Facebook page, which is Congressman Steve Russell. They call our warriors funding so that they can have the vital fight to do different things. They call this a gimmick. And what's most egregious as I read through this memo and we look at the different things is they're playing political games. The Secretary of Defense, mind you, who takes the same oath that we all do to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, who has all of the authority to make decisions for our men and women that serve in uniform. And now, as you read through this memo, it is how they can force the defense authorization this year to be vetoed so that they can meet their political party's political agenda. That's immoral. Look, we all have political preferences, we all understand that, but the defense of the Republic knows no political party. We have to absolutely do what is morally right. Laying out a strategy for how to send your own department's authorization to be vetoed so you can gain some political leverage in a pending presidential election, that's immoral. And we think the Secretary of Defense owes the American public an explanation, and he owes the men and women in uniform an apology. We are here to do the job. You elected us to do the job, but we need to pray for our country like never before. We can't put our political posturing ahead of the defense of the Republic. If I'm not elected, or if anybody else is not elected, who cares? The United States will go on. We can't make some sham political stunt or move when we see things like this. These are examples where we see oversight of government that has just failed. Not because we aren't digging into it, but because we have those that are putting self before service. I'm Steve Russell from the 5th Congressional District in Oklahoma. I hope these things will enlighten you. Go to russell.house.gov on our website or go to our Facebook page, Steve Russell, Congressman Steve Russell. Thank you.